G'day Australia, good evening world, and Tong Yat Yeta to our friends from Albania. Welcome to the Wealth Boomerang Show. Is this show about money? Well, the real question is, what is wealth? What does wealth mean to you? For those who already have millions of dollars, you may desire extra time to spend with your loved ones. A sick millionaire may wish to give all of their money for good health. Some people may want a more connected relationship or a deeper spiritual connection. We believe that whatever you value is wealth to you, and we believe that whatever you send out will come back to you. Every week we speak to people who have operated their wealth boomerangs correctly. They may have boomeranged back from tragedy to triumph or boomeranged back from rags to riches. Either way, their stories will touch, move and inspire you and instruct you along your journey. So sit back, relax and welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jeremy Britton, and this is your Wealth Boomerang Show.
Your head is there to dream your dreams. Your feet are there to follow through. Your heart is like a boomerang, boomerang. What you send out comes back to you. Boomerang, boomerang. Boomerang, boomerang. Look inside and you will find all your wealth's inside of you. Wealth starts inside your mind.
Todd Polke left school to join the army and later became a personal trainer. Helping others to become fit and healthy, he found that somehow he was always becoming sick. Not only was his work making him sick, his relationships suffered due to his long working hours, and his finances were also stretched. A few years later, Todd followed his passion, learned to look after his health, create his wealth, and transform his relationship. Showing others that the 60-hour working week model doesn't work for everyone, Todd now educates thousands of people on creating their dream life. Todd, thanks for coming into the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
So, mate, how did you switch from working very hard for a living and using up all your time to actually allowing your money to work for you?
Sure. I mean, the change really happened from a lot of pain for me, as you just mentioned. I was my whole version of being successful was about working lots and lots of hours. I thought for me to be successful, I've got to work, 16, 14, 15, 16-hour days, 6 days a week for 50-odd weeks of the year. That was my whole belief system set up around it. And for me, as you said, it was a lot of pain. So here I was, a personal trainer, health being my highest value, and I was getting sick all the time. My relationship was suffering. My money wasn't going anywhere. I was treading water financially. And, that really created so much pain in me that I actually had to look for some other options because it wasn't making sense what was going on. And, from there, I read some great things and listened to some great people and decided that property was the space where I actually needed to be. And from there, went and bought my first place, renovated it while I was living in there, did very well out of it, and wound up replacing my entire year's income in one property deal in the first 6 months. So it obviously had a dramatic impact on my life, and everything just changed and shifted from there.
Okay, fantastic. You've learned a few tricks from other people. And obviously, being a personal trainer, you knew about keeping fit.
Sure. But
to go and learn from someone else, is it true you actually took a $30,000 pay cut?
Yeah, it definitely was. I love that whole thing about you go to learn, not to earn. And so especially when you're starting out your career, I think that is really, really fundamentally important. And so when I started in the property world, I had no experience. So, I couldn't go in demanding the same type of money I was earning at the time when I was training people. And really, I was sitting in the audience of one of the very first mentors I met. I sat in that seat every seminar he ran for about 6 months and called the guy twice a week until he made a job for me. And I started at the bottom, worked my way up, but that was a space where I wanted to be, and I was willing to do whatever it took to actually get there.
So you took a pay cut and you annoyed the absolute bejesus out of this guy until he
and it somehow worked. Yeah, he caved in eventually because I'd made it certain I was not going away anyway.
How old were you at this stage when you took the
That was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a year or two later, I think you were 22, 23, you almost went bankrupt and lost everything. What happened there?
Yeah, a couple of years later, what I was doing is I went on a very, very aggressive acquisition strategy in building my investment portfolio. I was a young guy, had a huge ego and thought that nothing could go wrong.
No.
You couldn't imagine it, right? Thought that I was bulletproof, right? And so I was going out and buying all this property and leveraging to the hilt, being very, very aggressive in what I was doing. And I was creating a house of cards is what I was doing without protecting myself. And it only took one little switch and everything started toppling down in a very, very short period of time. And yeah, tried to send myself bankrupt a couple of times now, and but each way you kind of learn a little bit more, and you can rebuild things a lot faster than what you've done before. And I'm being very certain that I'm not going to be doing it again. That's for sure.
Okay. So 6 months it took you to make more than your entire 12 months income.
Sure.
You made $1 million, almost went bust, and then took you a couple of years to build it back again. I think you were a multi-millionaire by the time you were, what, 28?
It was about 25, 26 it was. So, you know, within that kind of 4 to 5 year period from the personal training, as I said, I was being very, very aggressive in what I was doing and created some amazing results in a short period of time. And that was just through having very good mentors and very good people in my life.
Now, not to be offensive or anything like that, mate, but when I was at school, it was the really smart kids who went on to become the engineers and the bridge builders, the kids who could do algebra and that sort of stuff. And it was the kids who weren't real good at maths. They were the ones who went to join the army and become personal trainers. So were you one of the genius kids, or were you one of the not so much?
No, definitely the not so much, right? Math was my my worst subject in the entire world, yet now I spend so much time in the finance world and things like that. So when it came to maths with finances, that was a very different thing than doing like algebra and that type of silly stuff.
So for any kids who are watching the show, if you're like 15, 16, 17 struggling with maths, how hard is it to count up to multiple millions of dollars?
Well, it's actually pretty easy to count up to multiple millions of dollars, especially when you're interested in it, and it can create some more choices for you in your life, and that's the beauty of a calculator.
It's reassuring to know that you don't need to be a genius. So creating financial independence for yourself, what difference did that make for you in your life?
Look, really, it was time was probably the biggest thing for me. You know, so as I told you, I spent 60 odd hours a week, 70 hours, 80 hours a week working, because that was my whole model of the world. But being able to create a level of wealth just gives you some more choices and options, and it really gives you those choices to do the things that you really love to do rather than what you feel like you have to do, and go chasing after your passions. You know, I know I sit down with people every single day, and they're in a job because they have to be there. That's what they feel like, because they've got to pay the bills and the mortgages and take care of the kids, and they feel like they have to be there. And you can see in them that, you know, their soul is dying. They're not feeling happy in what they're doing. And that's what I believe wealth truly is. It's about giving those choices and options to follow your passions and do the things you absolutely love. And that's what it's given me the gift of being able to do. And now, although I work harder than probably I ever have, to be quite frank, I'm doing what I truly love. And so it's not a labor of, it's not work for me, it's a labor of love.
Cool. So now, instead of saying, oh, I have to go to work today, it's like, well, I have to go and do this property, or buy a jet ski, or buy a Maserati or something like that.
Yeah, it's not have to, it's get to. Yeah, that's what it is. So
fantastic. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk to you about how people can actually find their passion and leverage that to make their millions. Thanks, Todd.
Fantastic.